Today, we present to you a new, exciting, and inspiring story from hashtag Stories from Reality. I will tell you the story of a scholar who combined mind and heart, this world and the hereafter, thus becoming a role model to be emulated. It is the story of Imam Al Ghazali, the personality who changed the course of Islamic thought and left profound impact that remains to this day. Here is a glimpse of it. Al Ghazali's journey from doubt to certainty. The beginning. The ambitious student. In the city of Tuz in Khorasan, in present-day Iran, in 1058 AD, Muhammad bin Muhammad Al Ghazali was born. He grew up fatherless, so his mother and his younger brother Ahmed took care of him. Their father was a pious man who loved knowledge, so he left a will for them to seek knowledge. The young Al Ghazali, with his sharp intelligence and strong memory, set out like a sponge, absorbing all the knowledge around him. He studied jurisprudence, fundamentals of religion, logic, and philosophy in the cities of Tuz and then Jurgen. His ambition knew no bounds, and his determination was as high as the mountains. He traveled to Nishapur, the capital of knowledge in his time, to join the Nizamiya school and study under the most famous scholar of his era, Imam al-Juwayni, nicknamed Imam al-Haramain. Al Ghazali was a prodigy in every sense of the word. He excelled over his peers and amazed his teachers, so much so that Imam al-Haramain said about him, Al Ghazali is an overwhelming sea. At an early age, he himself became a teacher and lecturer pointed out with admiration. The peak, the Sheikh of Baghdad and Sultan of the scholars. Al Ghazali's fame reached the ears of Nizam al-Mulk, the powerful minister of the Seljuk Empire, who was a patron of knowledge and scholars. He summoned him to his court and was amazed by his knowledge, eloquence, and argumentative skill. In 1091 AD, Nizam al-Mulk appointed him as the head of the Nizamiya school in Baghdad, the highest scientific position in the Islamic world at that time. Al Ghazali was only 33 years old. In Baghdad, Al Ghazali became a shining star. His study circles included thousands of students, scholars, and princes. He would give lessons in jurisprudence and its principles, debate philosophers and theologians, and write books refuting their views. He would lecture without preparation, and words flowed from his eloquence like flowing water. He became the uncontested sultan of the scholars. He enjoyed a high status, widespread influence, abundant wealth, and everyone's respect. The crisis, the question of certainty and the empty heart. But beneath this shiny shell of success, a massive storm was brewing inside him. Al Ghazali began to ask himself deep existential questions. Times is all this knowledge I carry merely memorization and transmission? Times where is the true certainty that brings peace to the heart? Times do I truly worship God, or do I worship fame and position? Times what is the true purpose of knowledge and action? He saw himself giving lectures not as a seeker of God's pleasure, but as a seeker of reputation and leadership. He doubted everything, in sensory knowledge, in rational knowledge, even in the simplest axioms. He entered a stage of methodological doubt akin to a chronic disease. He said in his famous book Deliverance from Error, "There remain none of the sciences that depend on fundamentals, which themselves depend on problems, except a little. He was struck by a psychosomatic illness, which doctors failed to treat, saying, "This is an illness arising from the self." He suffered from heart palpitations and loss of appetite until he became unable to speak or teach. The transformation, the great journey in renouncing the world. In 1095 AD, Al Ghazali made a decision that shocked everyone. He left his high position at the Nizamiya, left Baghdad, and left his influence and wealth. He distributed his wealth to the poor and headed to Damascus in disguise, renouncing the world, seeking seclusion and worship. He spent nearly 2 years in the Umayyad Mosque, secluded in its western minaret, which is called today Al Ghazali's minaret, worshipping and contemplating. Then he moved to Jerusalem, where he would enter the Dome of the Rock and seclude himself. Then he performed the Hajj pilgrimage and visited Medina. This journey was not an escape, but rather a journey in search of truth. He was practicing what is called the Sufi experience, testing the path of purification and Sufism himself. He wanted his knowledge to transform from information in the mind to truth in the heart. The solution and salvation, returning with the treasure. After 11 years of wandering, search, and spiritual discipline, Al Ghazali found what he was missing. He found that certainty he was seeking. It was not in complex books of philosophy, nor in the debates of the theologians, but rather in a light that God cast into his heart when he purified it from the love of this world. He discovered that the path to true knowledge is combining 1. Correct religious knowledge. 2. Purifying the heart from blameworthy morals. 3. Sincerity to God Almighty in word and deed. Al Ghazali returned to his birthplace in twos, but he returned a new man. During this period, he wrote his greatest and most famous book of all, The Revival of the Religious Sciences, in which he combined jurisprudence and Sufism, and between Sharia and truth. He tried to revive the dead hearts just as his own heart was revived. The end, the final return and the precious legacy. After pressure from the authorities and requests from the people, Al Ghazali returned to teaching for a short period in Nishapur, but he soon returned to Tools to live a life of asceticism and worship, dedicating his time to writing and local education, until he passed away on December 19, 1111 AD. Lessons learned from Al Ghazali's story. 1. Courage and self-confrontation. The greatest courage is to confront and criticize yourself, even if you are at the peak of glory. 2. Knowledge is not an end in itself. Knowledge is a means to purify the soul and serve humanity, not for boasting and seeking leadership. 3. Midlife crisis is an opportunity. Al Ghazali transformed in his 40s, proving that the search for meaning does not stop at a specific age. 4. Certainty is a matter of the heart. The deepest truths are not understood by the mind alone, but through experience, feeling, and faith. 5. True success lies not in collecting certificates and positions, but in your positive impact on people's souls and hearts. Thus, the story of Imam Al Ghazali became a beacon that illuminates the path for every knowledge seeker and every person searching for true meaning for his life, leaving behind a tremendous intellectual legacy that is still studied all over the world. And God knows best. If you liked the video, support us with a like, share, and follow to continue. Production and execution: Ahmed Dawood.